Hi everyone, welcome to Chess Comic, where we learn, laugh, and checkmate. For today's video, we're going to learn the Smothered Mate. The Smothered Mate is one of the nastiest checkmate because it is delivered by the knight when the king is being surrounded or being crowded by its own pieces. So if you guys are ready, let's start. Okay, in this first position, White can play knight f7 and it will be a checkmate. The knight attacks the king and the king cannot run away because it's being smothered or being crowded by its own pieces. Let's move on to the next position. Okay. In this position, you wish that the rook will be on g8, but the question is how. So I want you to find the force is smothered made into. Give yourself a minute, pause your video, and start. All right. The correct move is to sacrifice your queen to g8. The rook is forced to take. The knight is protecting the queen. That's why the king cannot capture. And now you can deliver the smothered checkmate on f7. It's the same as the first position, right? Let's move on to the next one. In this position, it is white's turn to move. And as you notice, the knight is blocking the queen's path, right? So you should have an idea that the correct first move is to move the knight out of the way. So I want you to find a forced smothered mate in 3. Give yourself a minute, pause your video, and start. Okay. The correct move is to move the knight to h6, and this is actually a double check. Now the black king has 2 squares to run with. It can go to h8, or it can go to f7. If the king goes to f7, all you gotta do is play queen f7, and this is a queen and helper checkmate. The knight is protecting the queen. And now, if the king goes to h8, you can do the usual pattern that we've been doing since the first position or second position, where we sacrifice the queen, rook captures, and knight f7 is a checkmate. Okay, let's move on to the third example. Here, you may think of moving the queen to g8, and then after the rook captures, we can play knight f7 mate, right? But that is not the correct answer. So I want you to give yourself a minute, pause the video, and find the smothered checkmate in 4. Go. All right. Let's start with sacrificing the queen to g8 first, okay? So, like what I said, this is wrong because the rook is not forced to take it. I mean, if the rook takes it, yes, it will be a checkmate. But the rook is not forced to take. The king will just simply take it. And now, white is just materially lost. Okay, so let's move the queen back. And the correct first move is knight f7, check. King is forced to go to g8. And now, the same pattern, move the knight to h6, create a double check. And we know that if the king goes to f8, there is a queen f7 mate. And if the king goes to h8, here is your usual smothered mate. Sacrifice the queen, rook takes, and knight f7 is a checkmate. Now, before we move on to the final position, I want to give you a heads up. It is going to be a forced checkmate in 5. And all you gotta do is imagine the previous positions that we have discussed, and you will be able to find the smothered checkmate. So it's all about the pattern. So don't be scared if it's a checkmate in 5, okay? So give yourself a minute, pause the video and find the forced Smothered Mate in 5. Go. All right. The correct first move is queen to d5. Check. You gotta put your queen in this diagonal. Yeah, black has actually 3 squares, or has 3 ways to put the king to safety. One is to move the king to h8. One is to move the king to f8. And the other one is to just give away the rook. I mean, if black gives away the rook, you just have to take it. Boop. And then if the king goes to f8, you have a queen and helper mate. If the king goes to h8, you have a back checkmate. Right? Now, here, if the king goes to f8, you have another queen and helper checkmate. So you know that if the king goes to f8, you always have queen f7 mate. And if the king goes to h8, this is what? The normal or the usual Smothered Mate pattern that we've been doing since the position number 2, I think. So all you gotta do is give a check on f7 using the knight. King is forced to go to g8. The knight h6. If the king goes to f8, you know that you have queen f7 checkmate. If the king goes to h8, you know the pattern. You know the drill. You sacrifice your queen. And the rook is forced to take. And here goes the Smothered Mate. Okay. I hope you guys learn and had fun in this video. If you do so, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so we can share the chess good vibe. Until next time, bye bye everyone!